Hey YouTube, this is We All Juggle Knives with the much anticipated Black Talon 2. Yes, a lot of people have been waiting for this to come out, and it is now here. This is the box that it comes in. Very nice. Now this knife has the famous cold steel triad lock. Triad lock right there. And notice the opener, it is a thumb plate. Yes, a thumb plate. Texture on the side of the thumb plate, but this can also function as a wave opener, meaning when you pull it out of your pocket, it gets snagged on the lip of your pocket and it opens it automatically, so to speak. Right? And you can also just, use it as a thumb plate. Sometimes triad locks can stick, but this one does not stick. Alright, it's fairly easy to open, fairly easy to disengage and close. Now because of this blade shape, note how wide this is. Note how much of the blade actually sticks out from the handle. It's almost twice as wide because of that blade shape. It has a polished pocket clip, right, with lanyard hole there, and it is a 2-position pocket clip. There's no steel liners, right, and those are G10 handle scales. And then observe here, you see that notch there, right? When it's open, that locks into right there, right? Stop pin there. And I don't know if you can see, but in addition to that notch there, you see kind of a notch there, right? That when it's open, that interacts with the triad lock and locks it in place. All right, so a lot of people said they thought the blade shape was ugly. Well, it looks even more ugly when you see this, but it does have a function. It has medium grippy texturing on the G10. It has a pinky ramp there, 2 finger grooves there, kind of a guard there. But overall, it actually does give you a good grip, and there's some jimping cut into the G10 there, and the thumb plate you can also use as a thumb rest to apply even more pressure while cutting. Now as far as the blade itself, we've got 4 inches, and it is a monster. It is the Carpenter's Steel CTS XHP. Alright, Cold Steel has upgraded its steels, and it comes in plain edge or fully serrated. Now it has the S curve. It's what's usually called an organic curve. And what does that mean? It means it's curvy like in Aliens. It's not angular. And as you can see, it has a satin finish, a bevel there, and then the serration pattern, which is basically a series of sub-tips, right, and then kind of a scallop and more sub-tips. Let's go over the types of cutting it's made for. Basically, extremely strong draw cuts, meaning a cut with a pulling motion. You're pulling. This can also be put kind of a cut into and around a curved surface. Imagine this was like the forearm of some person who's attacking you, and they're carrying a lethal weapon, right? That curve fits into the curve, and you either pull it through or you go around and in. Other types of cutting are longer range slashing, just your basic slashing motion. But it's made for ripping, for tearing, for shredding. And full serrations like that, they're only going to enhance the ripping, the tearing, the shredding, the hooking, the draw cutting. That's only going to be enhanced by having, all those sub-tips of the serrations. Some people were pointing out it would be hard to sharpen. Well, that's true, but I don't understand what those people were suggesting that they were going to be doing with the knife that's going to be making it get really dull, that they're going to have to worry about resharpening it. Much like a handgun, it's really you're hoping you'll never ever have to use it. I mean, it's kind of like a fire extinguisher. You know, you really hope you won't ever have to use a piece of gear like this. I mean, knives like this, a lot of them are meant for either police or people who carry a handgun, and, you know, someone is trying to grab that gun, and this is meant to basically disable that hand and that arm so that you can win that, you know, without having to be like a jiu-jitsu black belt. If someone's wrestling you for your gun, you know, this is a quick and dirty solution. And the philosophy of this blade shape, it's clearly for slashing and close cutting as opposed to piercing and thrusting. There's a lot of debate, you know, a lot of people say, well, a piercing and thrusting blade like a dagger is just more lethal. Well, that's true, but, you know, if you're an assassin, I guess go ahead and use a dagger, but for a defensive application, this can disable someone without necessarily pin cushioning their lungs full of holes. I'm glad they went with the G10 handles over the Griv-X that they use a lot. You know, the G10, it just gives it a more solid, weighty feel. The Triad lock, super strong lock. I don't see how you could complain about that. And the pricing on this, you know, it's currently about $110 plus your shipping. I would say with that upgraded steel, which is often called a super steel, I would say it is worth it. You might say, well, that steel is overkill. That is true, it is overkill from a practical standpoint, but it's still a very good idea from the knife market standpoint because people are learning more about steels and the consumers are basically demanding better and better steels, regardless if they plan to really max out the capabilities of that steel day to day. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'm going to be doing one more video with this. It's going to be a comparison with the Spyderco Civilian because I can already tell that's going to be the most commonly asked question or comment. So rather than making this like an excessively long video, I'm just going to tackle that question head on in another video, which is going to be coming up very soon. So I hope you enjoyed this review. This has been We All Juggle Knives, and I'm out.